If the length of this video says anything, this has got to be the biggest update to ranked 343 has made since launch. We got to talk about it.
Finally! Finally!
We got a lot to cover. This could take a while, but Happy New Year from the HCS team. Just in time for year 3 of HCS, they made a significant number of updates to the maps in Ranked Arena in an effort to foster stronger competitive balance, which makes sense. I think if you're a social Halo player and you're unhappy that the competitive playlist is more competitively balanced, please relax, okay? Like, there's a firefight playlist with your name on it. Come on. I think this is a W, and I think we've had the same layout and stale meta since the game's launch. This is great. So these 3 points here all apply to all maps. We've got deleted many scenic dynamic objects, red-racked equipment, and changed to custom games here, but scenic dynamic objects. These are designed to immerse the player. These objects cause network instability issues. It's these little boxes, these little like ammo tins and boxes and tires like on streets. They're littered all around the map. They're weird. Pushing into them causes weird like player physics interactions. Like you can desync or rubber band by bumping into them, especially dependent on your connection, right? I think everything's worse with worse ping, but something to do with jumping on them as well. It can super bounce your Spartan, basically, and it doesn't seem to be reliable, but it's kind of a booby trap, I think. Like if you're jumping to this box and you land on this like ammo tin in an awkward way, you get sent sailing. You can land on top of nest, you can fly off the map. So it's just kind of game breaking, right? I think if this happens, it'll slow down your movement. It'll get in the way of your movement. So this is a W, I'd say, from 343, just for moving. Like you can see how I get kind of wedged. I'm stuck. I'm pushing forward and I'm stuck behind this, right? So just getting this stuff off the map, I think, is a W, and they've done that for the most part. Like 90% of all this stuff is gone here. There's a second part to this, sort of, and these are not dynamic objects, but the pebbles. The pebbles on Solitude. Everyone's talking about the pebbles. So 343, if you give this a look, this has not been updated yet. All these rocky areas on Solitude, there's a higher chance of just like latency and network instability walking around these areas. I've been trying to think of why this is. I think it has to do with the invisible blockers on the map. If you jump into Forge on this map, it's covered in pink blockers everywhere. And these blockers are layered on top of each other, especially in the rockier areas. And I think this is designed to flatten, smooth out these surfaces so we can run across them, I guess, more naturally, or throw nades on them and have them bounce in more natural ways, which, by the way, you know, this is still an issue, the way that nades bounce on this map. Like if I throw a nade into here, where did it go? It just, you know, it just got caught. So I have to sort of memorize like the areas where nades don't work on this map and be careful. Basically, it's like a skill gap that you don't want to have. But this, for example, is covered in blockers. I'm standing on nothing. I'm standing on like a pink object, which this just seems ridiculous to me. And I think the layering of these blockers is what's creating this latency issue. Now, if they do, you know, smooth out these surfaces, I just hope they're very careful with how they do this, because the blockers do affect player movement, and in some cases affect it in positive ways, I would say. This double jump tech that you can do on this map is freaking sweet. I've got a video covering this. There are certain areas in this map, if you can find somewhere, and you can see this in Forge, where there's a blocker on the floor intersecting with a wall, but the wall doesn't have a blocker, these areas can be double jumped off of, and it creates like really interesting skill jumps that are unique to this map. And I guess Empyrean and ARGYLE sort of have this too, but it just completely changes the map in such an awesome, positive way, I think. And I would hate to see this disappear. So if they can remove the layering of the blockers in the problem areas of the map where there aren't any form of, you know, jumps, like all this open space, and flatten these surfaces out, that would be excellent. But specifically where we have that, like right here where there's a blocker intersecting with this wall, please, you know, don't change it, because this is such an awesome, skillful component of navigating this map. And, you know, I'm confident if you take the time to practice it, you'll appreciate it too. Otherwise, I like what they've done so far. Removing these objects is good. We've got red-racked equipment. So we've seen this with weapons already, but basically only one player can hold an equipment per equipment spawn at a time. Once they run out, or if that equipment despawns, then 1 minute later, a new one will spawn. And the one cool thing they bring up here is they say it'll reduce the potential of imbalance scenarios where equipment is stacked on a player, but at the same time will add an additional layer of strategy with players to have more control over new equipment. Because if you run an equipment you will know when that 1 minute timer, if you have it, when the 1 minute timer starts for the next one. So there's sort of like a strategy, you know, mind game aspect to like timing out the next equipment spawn. And last tier custom games, these changes are only for the ranked version of the map. So you can find the ranked version of these maps with their own file name, like Live Fire ranked, Aquarius ranked, etc. And you can jump on those maps in custom games in Academy like I've been doing, which is great. So if you want to play with all the little boxes and your immersion or whatever in social, that's still there. That's fine. So let's look at the maps. Aquarius, this map got a pretty big overhaul, and I think it was needed. It's been sort of the same since launch. Some of this I like, some of this I'm not so sure, but swapped the BR and commando placement. They removed the thrust from each courtyard, added 1 to top mid with 3 charges, removed sidekicks, moved heatwave to bottom mid, removed quantum translocator, overshield added to P1, needler replaced with plasma pistol, and dynamo nades replaced with plasma nades. So right off the bat, I'll say the BR in the base, that's a W. I like this a lot. The only scenario where BR has an advantage over the Evo is long range. And now there's some actual incentive, like strategically too, to stay back in the base and cross with the BR. One player is going to have a roll off spawn. They'll pick up BR and they'll stay here and cross and try to set up an opportunity for the Evo players pushing up to control the rest of the map. He didn't have all of that, like that same kind of dynamic with just the Evos and the commando. Like, yes, the commando can cross, but it's more challenging and not quite as effective in that type of position. Whereas over here, it makes more sense. I find the commando is more versatile. It's got a very fast time to kill, so in closer quarters, I feel like it's got a better chance of beating a bandit. Whereas the BR in this type of situation, the bandit's gonna win, I think, more often than not. So just makes sense. Great switch. Thrust top mid is weird to me. It just looks odd considering it's just a thrust equipment. Removing it from courtyard, this hurts. This hurts my soul, man. This, I'm sad about this one. I'm not going to lie. It was the power weapon on this map. You've got 2, 1 in each courtyard. It respawns every, what, like 30 seconds, every 1 minute, sorry, after it's picked up. So it's constantly in play. If you're not controlling it, you're not winning the game. Now things have changed, I think, with the thrust top mid. Only one player can have it. Once that player runs out, it's going to take a minute for somebody else to get it. So this one player is literally like, you know, the Doom guy or whatever on the map, right? Has a real advantage, which is kind of a cool dynamic, but it also means that navigating the lower areas of the map is going to be a lot trickier now. That said, I almost feel like I'd swap the OS with the thrust just because it makes sense to me. Like, the OS is kind of your centerpiece power-up. You'd think it would be on top mid in, like, the hotly contested area of the map. I understand if you pick up thrust, maybe you thrust away right away from top mid, and that's kind of like the idea behind it. It's kind of weird to have the OS and the heat wave right beside each other as well. Like, I like the heat wave in bottom mid. I think this is kind of cool now that there's no thrust in courtyard. Like, we're fighting for bottom mid right off the opening, which is sort of a unique dynamic we didn't see, you know, in previous seasons. So I'm down for this. But if you win the heat wave, like, now you're using the heat wave to get the OS that's right next door. It just seems like, I don't know. I'd rather have like the heat wave thrust combo and then use that to like try to secure top mid where you're open to more sight lines, maybe. But I don't hate it, you know? So there's just nothing here now, which is interesting. This is what used to be the heat wave. I was thinking, can they put the sidekick here maybe? No more sidekick on this map. They just axed it completely. So there's nothing here. I've been trying to think of like, you know, what are the issues with the weapon? Because I don't think it's, you know, like broken by any means. It's powerful in close quarters. It's got a fast time to kill. It's got a fast beatdown. I think that's the main issue with the sidekick is you can spam beatdown and beat out almost every other weapon because it just beats down so fast. So having 2 of them might be problematic, but having 1, maybe just because it's right beside the heat wave, maybe that's too much artillery or beside the OS. But like having 1 in P1, I wouldn't mind instead of just completely removing it because it is still a precision weapon. And now there's no more needler. You got a combo instead. I like this as well. I think the needler, out of all the maps in this game, the needler was the least effective on this map because it's so close quarters. It's very easy to kind of weasel around and just make it useless. But the plasma pistol is going to be totally different. And I think without the sidekick, the plasma pistol is really something to fight for. You're going to be spamming this, charging it up, trying to play around corners with it. So low-key, a power weapon. I think this is kind of a big deal having this, especially with the OS in play. Almost forgot about the dynamo nades. They got replaced with plasma nades. I'm okay with this too. I feel like after the nerf to the dynamos, they're nowhere near as powerful, useful as they used to be, which also means that I didn't really hate that they were there, you know? Like, they were kind of useful in the utils or maybe throwing it across the map to P2. It's the only map I think that has the dynamo nades as well, so now that they're gone here, I think they're just gone from the sandbox. So I kind of like the unique aspect to the dynamos as, you know, as much as they weren't very exciting. But I guess the alternative is now we have 2 sets of plasma nades and more opportunities for insta-splodes, I guess, right? Which insta-splodes are, I think, always pretty hype. So I'm not complaining. I think this is fine. Up next, we have ARGYLE. Not too many changes here. I think the main key is to promote flag scoring so that games end on score versus time more often. So the big issue with this map is it's like 0-0 or 1-1. It goes to OT. It goes to double OT. It won't end, right? Because it's so hard to reliably cap flags on this map, so it just goes back and forth forever. These changes are, you know, the objective is to fix that. But S7 Sniper respawn timer increased from 2 minutes to 2 minutes 30. Removed Sniper Side Window Bandit Evo. Removed Disruptor in PC Screens area. Swap Sidekicks to Disruptor. This is the biggest change. The flag plate being moved to off the base platform towards the front of the base. So let's take a look. The sniper change, I'm fine with that. For whatever reason, with the 2-minute spawn timer, it just felt like the sniper was always in play on this map, which, you know, I don't hate from, you know, the stylish kill perspective, I guess, but I don't mind seeing a little bit less of it. I think that's totally fine. As far as the bandit spawn, it's just another bandit rack on the map that you couldn't really interact with anyway, so no loss here. I don't really care. And then the disruptor, completely gone. No more rack. I'm kind of unhappy that the rack is gone, because you could stand on this and you could jump off it. You can curb slide off it and kind of make plays with it. So we've lost part of our map movement a little bit, you know, like I'm always kind of lamenting this stuff. And then there's no more sidekick. We've got disruptor instead. Once again, the sidekick gets the axe, right? Like, I feel like, was the sidekick really that big of a deal on this map, considering how long range, you know, a lot of the interactions are? I felt like the sidekick was fine. I feel like the disruptor is just a no dopamine weapon, in my opinion. I don't know, man. Like, it's just not, it's just got no dopamine. Like, it's not hard to aim. It's got no headshot modifier. The damage over time was, like, it wasn't really even that fun. And it's not very strong. Like, I don't know. It needs an overhaul. And then the grapples, I guess, on the map, we're going to see less of them because it's a 1-minute timer per pickup, right? We have red racked grapples. Still QT. QT is more useful on this map than it is on Aquarius. I kind of miss the camo, though, not going to lie, but there's a lot of camo on the other maps that we'll see. But this is the big change. I feel like this change does promote getting the flag out to the front of the base. Do we want this, though? Like, this is going to create chaos. You know, maybe you could make a play off the chaos. It's very hard to reliably... Oh, well, there you go. To get like a useful curb slide with it so we can cross the open area of mid and be safe with it, right? Because this is just, it just seems like a death trap taking the flag through bottom mid here. I think it'll leave some opportunities for some crazy grapple runs, like the placement of this flag. You've got more space to spin in with the grapple and make like a nice pull off the start. So that'll be sweet. Running it perimeter is harder now. Like, we're going to see a lot less perimeter side runs, I guess, unless we take it this way. Like, you could toss it out like that and then start hitting this curb slide. And this will be the new run. And we'll do it on both sides of the map, I guess, right? But there was a run up here that I feel like was underrated and, like, just nobody was taking advantage of it. It was kind of huge. You could stand on this little wall edge and curb slide like that. And if you did it correctly, you'd skip this whole open area, which is where players tend to die. And I feel like even at pro play, people weren't taking advantage of this curb slide. But still, I think this is cool. I'm down for some bottom mid chaos, changing things up. You know, hopefully it leads to more flags being capped and more opportunities to grapple the flag out to you. It will change spawns a bit, though. Like, the placement of this flag is going to keep players farther away from the back of the base, meaning there's a better chance that the back base spawn is going to be open during these flag runs, and then the run could maybe be stopped by this. I don't know. I think it might kind of change spawn control. Maybe that'll be a good thing. You know, maybe it'll lower the chances of somebody spawning like here and cutting off your run instead. So let's see it. Next, we got Empyrean or Pit. Not a lot changed here as well, and not a lot I think that needed to be changed, but they removed the drop wall, removed the needlers, swapped the heat wave with the bulldog, and then they changed the position of the crates inside the flag area, which is random to me. But let's take a look. The removal of the drop wall means that drop wall is just gone. It's axed out of all HCS maps. Curious to hear everyone's thoughts on this one. I feel like drop wall wasn't crazy powerful. The one thing I liked about this equipment was the boom block capability. Just being able to like drop it right before a rocket hits you is kind of satisfying. But I guess we have the repulse for that. Now you got to be really careful with how you navigate this long haul as well. And make sure you know how to wall kick it too. No more needler. I don't really hate this. The one thing I don't like about the removal of the needler, it's just gone everywhere, by the way. I think it's gone in Recharge, too, is it's kind of an iconic Halo weapon, right? Like, when you think Halo, the needler is a real standout. But if you catch somebody off guard, there's just no thinking, no brain power necessary to use it, you know? It's way too free. and easy. So it doesn't feel good to get kills with. It doesn't feel satisfying to me. Back in previous Halo games, it was never this powerful. It was like a sandbag, you know, like teabag weapon or whatever. Like you used it to mind game and just piss people off because it was so bad. Wall sheet, you know, standing over, what was it, T-square with the dual needlers. Like that's how we use the needler iconically in Halo, not as like a genuine power weapon, you know? So Heatwave is sort of a versatile shotgun, right? It's got long range capability, more precision oriented though too. So I kind of like that aspect of it. Bulldog is going to be harder to use effectively on this map because there's a lot more open space and useful in the sword area where it spawns. So sure. Forbidden is also essentially the same. I'm not even going to jump on it. They changed the threat seeker charge from 2 to 1. That's fine. I don't think we need 2 charges per pickup. This is happening now though, right? This is an official HCS map now. So Forbidden CTF, I guess, is going to be added to the rotation. I'm okay with it. I've got 2 in-depth videos on this map. I don't hate the map. I don't know. There's some satisfying aspects to playing on this map that I'm kind of open to seeing. It might be more fun with grapples, for the record. Like now that we have red racked grapples, like what if you put a grapple where the shock spawns? Maybe playing on that map would be more exciting and more dynamic, and we'd see, you know, something more interesting going on. Like I feel like it's missing something. Moving on to Live Fire, my favorite map, and I think it just got better. Not gonna lie, they overhauled the hell out of this map, including King of the Hill. They changed some hills in King of the Hill. We got QT on the map now, back green. We got Plasma Nades front green where Repulse spawned originally. Spike Nades in cuts where the Plasmas used to spawn. Removed Needler, just axed completely. Removed Shroud Screen, actually a W. We'll talk about that. OS replaced with active camo and a 2-minute 30 respawn time, which I think is higher than usual. I think it's a 2-minute respawn time normally, so 2 minutes 30. Respawn moved to bottom mid and then removed the heat wave. No more heat wave bottom mid as well. So yeah, this map is definitely changed. QT on the map is definitely the spiciest addition, I think. I think this is pretty fun. Out of all the maps in Halo Infinite, for whatever reason, QT actually might make the most sense on this map. And I think it just kind of took us a while to fully realize it. Considering just how much movement and is on this map and the pacing on this map, being able to fly around with a QT just seems wild to me in a great way. Like, I think there's going to be some sick plays. I wonder how it'll impact different game modes, right? Like strongholds. I know the pro community is talking about strongholds with the QT being kind of like overpowered, because I could be an A and then jump to B and then QT back to A, right? Like kind of control 2 hills at the same time, especially if we combo it with the camo, which seems kind of crazy, right? 2 big power-ups on the map. I mean, camo especially. Instead of the OS, which camo it's interesting on this map because I feel like this map is very fast-paced and the meta is about speeding up and pressing your advantages as quickly as possible. Camo isn't really about that, though. Camo tends to, like, slow down the game, especially in Slayer, and, you know, make you think twice about how you move around the map. So maybe it'll vary up the pace of play in an interesting way, but the combination of, like, camo snipe and the QT being in play, just like all of this seems like a lot to manage and a lot of power. This can't be right. This can't be right. This can't be. What's going on here? I'm in Academy, so maybe because I'm in Academy, I don't think there's... No. No.
No! God, please, no! 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 No!
I'm sorry you had to see that. I was scared too, okay? Don't worry. No Mangler on Live Fire. The sidekick, I guess, is still here, right? So this is the one map, I think, that has sidekick still in play. We'll see sidekick is gone pretty much everywhere. I kind of like the plasma nade location here just because it's a new nade shot location, right? This used to be the Repulse, and then we've got the Repulse down here, which I'm cool with. Repulse is still on the map, and I feel like this is a fun map for the Repulse, despite how powerful the Repulse can be, right? Like, it'll knock you off the map in these sections, and I think it was, you know, kind of the cheesiest back B, right? It spawned right there. You'd send somebody off the back of B, so, like, that kind of combination is going to happen less often, especially considering the Repulse is going to spawn less often now, too. And this placement encourages the Repulse jump, assuming you hit it. But we can just, you know, pick it up off a rotation, do the jump right away, which I think is pretty nifty. No more heat wave. I don't hate it. I don't love it either. I feel like I definitely neglected the heat wave in my own gameplay, but it was very powerful in the right hands, but not, like, overpowered. In my opinion, like, I think after they lowered the ammo for the weapon, it wasn't really that bad, and I kind of like the vertical, like, long-range precision aspect of the heat wave, so it's a bit of a shame that we're seeing less heat wave in this HCS season. Like, Aquarius, I think, is our one key map with the heat wave, and then outside of that, there's, you know, like Empyrean, they changed it as well. I feel like with all the extra stuff on the map, though, it's not, like, I won't miss it as much now that QT's in play, right? Like, we've got something else exciting to kind of fill in that gap, but I don't know, you know, like, is there some way to change the heat wave to make it, you know, just more, like, have more of a presence in the current HCS meta? We've got spikes here, which I'm fine with. No more shroud, which I'm fine with. I think the shroud was just too free for the OS and for the camo, I guess, in this case. You would just shoot it at the platform. The player inside it would basically just freely get the power up. It would take away the need for, you know, map control and the fight for the OS, which I think was so exciting and important, especially in competitive. So, you know, axe it. I'm fine with it on this map, at least. It doesn't need to be here. And the hill rotations. This will completely change how we play King of the Hill on this map. They removed the hill surrounding OS, now camo, added a new hill bottom bridge near mud area, moved hill in house, slightly towards scoreboard area, so the pit area of the house, that's where that new hill is. I like all these changes. I think these are pretty cool. I think the OS hill was a pretty powerful hill if you controlled it, right? Like, on top of the fact that OS used to spawn there, you get, like, extra, you know, power to work with to hold it down, but it's very easy to set up around it. If you have a player on tower side, player on A plat, you just watch them spawn B and just shoot them off spawn, so it's just very difficult to get out of, like, you know, a deficit situation when they're set up in that hill. It was basically guaranteed. So this is going to, you know, mix things up and create more chaos, especially under this bottom bridge in mud, I think. Like, it's right out in the open. It's going to be a chaotic hill, which I'm kind of down for and curious to see how people set up and play around it. And this one in the A house could be pretty interesting too. You're away from the sight line in mid, so you're not getting kind of crossed early on, but kind of vulnerable to nades here at the same time. What I like is it gives me an opportunity to hit this skill jump out, which, who knows, you know, like right from the hill into some sort of a play. I don't know. I'm just looking for excuses to hit this jump. Next, we got Recharge. Another big overhaul here. We got Repulsor removed, Shroud added to blue pipes area, moved frag nades from red pipes to turbine area, removed Needler. No more Needler. Once again, Sidekick swapped with Battle Rifle, Disruptor swapped with Battle Rifle. So quite a few changes here. Some of this I really like. Once again with the Sidekick, like if we're going to remove Needler, I guess there's just nothing here now. Sidekick? Maybe? Do we hate the Sidekick? I don't know. What do we think about the Sidekick? I'm curious to know people's view. Or maybe they just don't care. Like, I feel like with a lot of pro players, the less on the map, you know, they're not complaining if there's less utility. I like this with the BRs, though. I'm a fan of this. 2 BRs on the map just encourages long-range crossfire in a battle, you know, between these two locations, between Gold and Tower. And this was something I was hoping to see. Like, now that the Evo is the starting weapon, I still want to see BR in play. It's an iconic weapon, right? So we're still going to see a lot of it, and we're going to see it used in the scenarios where it's best to use. So I'm a fan. The nade switch here, this is a W as well. This is a spawn point in pipes here. As much as I like shooting these nades, it's just so free. Like, people spawn on top of it, and you shoot the nade, like, literally as they spawn, or kind of just catch them off guard. Like, it is satisfying to get the right timing for it, but in general, this is just such a nade trap, and you can still do this, right? You can still nade shot this as they come out the doorway and just create a different trap situation, right? So I'm always a fan of, like, little changes like this and how it kind of flips up the strategy in these areas. Shock rifle is still on the map. I know this is kind of a polarizing weapon with the higher level competitors and everyone else, but the shock has a little bit of aim assist. It's easier to hit headshots with this weapon than all of the other snipers, essentially. So some people believe it's pretty overpowered. It's kind of a clip machine. Like, higher level pros practically don't miss with it. But at the same time, it is pretty satisfying. Like, when you are getting clips, like, it is kind of a dopamine generator, I would say. Like, I enjoy using the shock, so I'm not complaining about the fact that it's still here. And I like watching it in esports, so I'm okay with it. Like, it only has 8 shots per pickup. It does spawn, I guess, more frequently than other power weapons. Like, maybe there could be some alteration there, but who knows? Like, we also have the Shroud in play now, which is going to be a lot more accessible than the Repulse, I guess, was when it was out here on this platform. Shroud on this map actually makes sense to me, right? There are a lot of situations in open space where you would want to use a Shroud to get the camo, which could be a new type of opening strat, let's say, or to cross open areas of the map when you're in a disadvantaged state. Like, with the shock in play, having a Shroud is going to be a great counter to get yourself into tighter areas of the map like A to push up and change things up. So maybe that'll, you know, alleviate some of the issue there. So I'm cool with that. I kind of don't like that the Repulsor is gone, though, I'll be honest. Like, yeah, sure, you can knock people off this side of the map with it. Maybe that's kind of cheesy, but the movement components of the Repulse is always fun. You know, in the tournaments, in the LAN tournaments, Repulse is fun. I know online is kind of an annoying equipment. Also, like, there's just a platform here now. You know, like, this kind of just seems weird to me. What is this going to be for? Do you sit here with the Shrouders? Like, I don't know. Or, like, just have somebody hide here for, like, an awkward off-angle position? Like, it just seems like a useless, pointless platform. Like, I remember the trailers for this game where you would throw the plasma nade and bring the sword to yourself, right? Combat Evolve, the sword. That was, like, the whole design for this. And it's just useless now. So, it just, I don't know. Something, what, can we put something here? I'll leave it up to the comments. Like, what can we put here to make it so that you'd want to go out there and it still has some use and it's not just like an open platform on the map? Otherwise, we got some hill rotation changes. For King of the Hill, they moved the hill in the elevator area. So that one in back A, which honestly was the easiest one to lock down and control, is now gone. I'm cool with that. They added a new hill in batteries. That is chaos. That's going to be interesting. They changed the hill order. So we start with batteries. We slam each other right in the center of the map to start the game. We got blue pipes, the same hill, and then turbine, C platform, bottom mid. And I kind of like that rotation considering majority of the start of the game was all about setting up around C plat, right? Because you wanted C plat for bottom mid, you wanted C plat for the second hill as well, and it just, this will now, you know, kind of flip us into different setups earlier on and create some more interesting dynamics in gameplay. They removed the grapple shot spawn point, that ledge spawn point. Worst spawn on the map, hands down. Spawning in B in general sucks on this map. Not that I feel like every spawn point in B needs to be taken out completely, because I guess there's like a comeback component to having somebody spawn in B in the right situation. But there are so many, you know, moments where you spawn there and you just die instantly. At the very least, if you're spawning in B behind a battery, you can jump off the battery and kind of get out. The grapple shot ledge sucked though, right? Because you were right in the line of fire and you've got like, there's no hope. There's no help. You're just going to get melted as you try to slide forward and live. So really annoying spawn, and that's a W. Look at the size of this hill, by the way, right? Like, it's only in the back portion of B. Should be pretty interesting, and I'm curious to see how people play around it. Seeing outplays in batteries might be kind of satisfying. I don't know. Just navigating batteries is probably the most interesting area of this map, in my opinion. Just the way that these are dynamic objects that move, and different jumps are created depending on the height of the platform. So I'm all for increasing the gameplay in this area. All right, almost there. 2 more maps to go. Streets, they completely overhauled this map. I'm a big fan of it. They said most of the feedback stemmed from the feeling of there being too much power on the map, which is true. I thought what they would do was change like the stalker or the shotgun or something. Instead, they took the rockets out, and I actually don't mind it. The one thing about the rockets being gone is just the lack of rocket launchers in competitive maps overall. Like, Pit is the only map that has rockets, which is weird to me because rockets are literally just like the iconic, it is the power weapon of Halo. I feel like there's a missed opportunity there. We've got Bandit Evo moved from B stairs, Stalker Rifle to Red Room, pretty interesting. Threat Seeker gone. Shroud Screen back A in place of the Threat Seeker. Repulse added to driveway and original Shroud Screen location. Threat Seeker swap. Wait, what? Moved to back A. Yeah, okay. They said it twice. Commando Rifle in top A replaced by Battle Rifle. Bandit Evo in Cafe replaced by Commando Rifle. Okay, this is a W as well. I like a lot of these changes. The Repulse. This one's going to be polarizing, I think, a little bit. Maybe. There are movement aspects to using Repulse on this map that I think could be pretty exciting. Can you get up here from here? Okay, no. I saw the Milkway clip. Yes, I've seen it. Milkway's jumping around the map with the Repulse. Everything Milkway does is always harder to do than it looks, though this was pretty easy. This is pretty cool. I love this, personally, okay? We've been playing the same map for 2 years with the same movement for 2 years. So 343, please, okay? Just let it fly for a little bit, please, okay? Because I think this is cool. Like, there is no OBJ advantage to doing this. You need the Repulse to get there. You can't just get the ball up there, and even if you did, they know you're there. They're going to see you holding the ball. The moment you shoot somebody, they see you, so they kill you for free. It's just a cool off angle. Yes, maybe you can grab the camo and grab the Repulse and position yourself all just for one kill up there, but, like, it's the style points. It's the... Think about the esports pop-off moments, right? I think this one's hard to get into. I haven't actually tried this. You can stand on the burger and get a kill off the burger. Like, think about the commentators popping off, you know? Like, I think that it's worth it for the hype. And if in any competitive environment, like the moment that you see this spot used, first of all, you learn how to do it yourself, or you learn that it's a spot and you kill the guy that's there. And it's not going to be that frequent considering Repulse, only one player can have it, only one spawns at a time, right? Like, I am all game for new just locations and ways to navigate the map that haven't existed for 2 years. Like, this is dope. Apart from that, though, the opening strats on this map are going to be interesting. The camo doesn't spawn for 30 seconds, so we're not going to be flying into center like we usually do, fighting for rockets, right? Instead, you've got this interesting, like, complementary dynamic of, like, the Repulse, which can be used to knock nades back. This is a really prevalent, like, nade spot in the map. Plus the Stalker, which isn't going to be directly, you know, in the balcony crossing people off the mid. Instead, we're fighting for it in a pretty tight area where you can be easily naded also. So I like the dynamic here. The other side of the map, we're going to have the Bulldog plus the Shroud, which is a complementary setup as well. So this side kind of gets the advantage, I guess, towards the Bulldog, while the other side gets the advantage towards the Stalker. And we're going to have two different fights in these perimeters for these weapons until the 30-second mark when we fight for the camo. So the whole opening of this map completely flips in a really exciting way. On top of the fact that BRs are actually in both locations on both sides. So we got a BR duel going on in the center here. Like, there's a lot of really interesting stuff going on here. I'm definitely going to miss combat evolving the rockets, though. Like, I feel like that was an exciting part of just the meta on this map, was different angles to combat evolve the rockets and, you know, use that. Though the rockets definitely snowballed the game, right? Like, the snowball aspect of this game might slow down with these changes, which is good. But I always like, you know, neat features like combat evolve. Camo is interesting on this map. I think one thing to consider with the camo in play is how it might impact extraction, right? Like, every map that has assuming we're using extraction. I don't know what's going on with extraction. I think we're going to be competing in extraction, which I'm not even going to... I'll save that discussion for another time.
Talked about it a bit before, but it's kind of like an oddball game type where someone doesn't have to hold the oddball, so you can all post up and have like a four-player setup. So it just makes the setups that much harder to break.
You got 4 people playing while it holds the ball by itself, or, you know, the point's ticking by itself.
Yeah. King of the hill, but you don't gotta stand in the hill. You just tap it.
Camo and extraction might be interesting, I do think. Like, just the idea of being able to stealth, like, convert and get off the point and get back on the point while not being seen. And speaking of game modes, now that we have a new sandbox on streets, I would love to see Strongholds make a comeback. I'd like to see King of the Hill make a comeback, to be honest. Like, I enjoyed both of those game types on this map, and I think with the different, you know, weapons, they might be more playable. They might be more fun now, maybe instead of extraction, you know? I don't know. Why do we still have, what's going on, right? Like, there's still, look at all this. I don't know. I thought we were getting rid of this. Okay, last map. Finally, Solitude. One change to this map, and it's a big change. They changed the snipe with the shock rifle. It almost feels sacrilegious. I don't know. I don't know what to think about this yet, I'll be honest. But the main objective here, they're saying, is to address the balance and player feedback around the snowball effect on the map. And I guess the idea behind this is, like, shock rifle is easier to get headshots with. So in one regard, wouldn't it snowball the game more? But at the same time, S7 is kind of easy to get body shots with, I guess, right? Like, there's a higher chance you might get a body shot with an S7 versus a headshot with the shock. I don't know the stats on that. But if you get a body shot with the S7, you can clean that up quick. If you get a body shot with the shock, depending on how it hits, they still have quite a bit of shields left to stay alive and make a play. So maybe that's the idea behind it. King of the Hill, the hill's changed as well. This is a big W. King on this map kind of sucks, in my opinion, especially with the top mid hill in play. Like, the top mid hill is okay for the start of the game, but terrible for the end of the game. It just automatically makes the game over. You know, whichever team is winning, by the time top mid hits, it's just game over is what it feels like. Remove the bottom dip hill. I'm cool with that. They added a new bottom mid hill. That's spicy. I like this. Bottom mid is honestly a pretty fun area of the map to play from if you navigate it well. And now we're going to have some, you know, interesting dynamic, I think, around bottom mid. Added a new hill in yard. This just makes sense. Like, I'm surprised yard wasn't a hill to begin with, just, you know, where the A stronghold typically would be. I think that it'll be cool to see how people set up around yard and just fight within that area. Makes sense to me. One interesting thing I'm just seeing right now, I'm not sure if this is just, you know, like a bug or something. I don't know what's going on, but if I pick this up, look at the spawn timer. So that you could have 2, basically. I don't know, is what I'm learning, right? Like, so I'm assuming the spawn timer is more than a minute. Unless we time this. Like, is this 1 minute? Yeah, what the... I don't know if this is, like, I'm playing ranked King of the Hill on the ranked version of this map. So does that mean that there's a shock every minute of the game while you're holding shock? Because that's insane. Like, if if we're worried about the snowball, this is a snowball right here. I don't know. I'm going to need a confirmation from my comments or 343. Assuming that's a mistake, the shock being on that map, it might grow on me. I don't know. Like, I know that Plaza is iconically an S7 snipe map. Solitude isn't really Plaza, though. You know, it's kind of a different landscape. We got a lot of S7 and other maps. We only have one map with the shock, even though it's not the most competitive weapon, but I've said enough, I think. I'm going to leave the rest up to you guys in the comments. In general, I'd say most of this is a big W and a nice refresh getting back into ranked. Like, I'm excited to play some ranked again and to kind of change up how I play these maps, how I think about playing these maps. What do you guys think of these updates? Let me know in the comments. It's good that the year is finally getting rolling. We got the roadmap coming out soon as well, so I'll be talking about that too. But otherwise, just grinding. Check me out on twitch.tv/the Shyway. We got to do a birthday stream. I am 32 now, by the way. I'm getting old. I feel okay, but I'm getting up there. So feel free to come by the stream. But if you guys are looking to grind as well, I got plenty of content for that also. Check it out right beside me. This is the way.